Hello, everybody, and welcome to Exploring Fort Saskatchewan with your hosts, Mayor Gale Katchur and Curtis Dominique. All right, shall we start again?
Sure.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the newest episode of Exploring Fort Saskatchewan. As always, we've got, well, I'm going to say the two originating founders of this, Curtis Dominique, and I'm here with Mayor Gale Katchur. How are you today?
I'm excellent, thank you. And today, Curtis and I have talked about it, and we said, you know what, we want to go down just a little bit different road. Usually we give recaps and updates, but you can always get those from my Facebook page as well about what's going on in the weekend. But today we really thought we would talk about, as we explore Fort Saskatchewan, our Fort Saskatchewan Hospital.
Yeah, what a place to start. I know I've been there. It's such a beautiful and state-of-the-art facility within our city that, I'd like to know exactly what goes on. Like maybe, I know you've got a few answers and a few questions in regards to that, but when was it created and...
Okay, well,
yeah.
That's a really good area to start talking about. So, Fort Saskatchewan has had a hospital for a number of years, and I know our oldest hospital, I believe, was was well over 30 plus years old, and Mayor Ken Hodgins had gone out, and he was one of the first ones who said, you know what, we need to start lobbying for a new hospital because the city is not responsible for it, but it's our job to do lobbying and advocating when we need something in our community. So this really talks about the fact that, we have this beautiful, beautiful new hospital, and it is served with some of the best doctors and nurses. I've got to give them such credit because they are so dedicated to patient care. And I think that that's what we're all looking for, is we want to have good patient care.
That's it, because it's like one of these things, it's like police, ambulance. Nobody thinks of them until they need them. And it's the same thing for the hospital. You don't think of it until you need it. And then when you need it, and if you have to wait for an extra 2 or 3 minutes, everybody's complaining. But you got to remember that these people do such a great job. They're there sometimes 12, 13-hour shifts. Mm-hmm. You got to respect and admire and thank what they do, because without them, yeah. I don't even want to know what it would be like, but it would be horrible.
Yep. So we really salute the doctors and nurses of the Fort Saskatchewan Hospital. Now, the reason we're talking about the hospital a little bit today, because a little bit of information, more information has surfaced. About a year ago, we had Ms. Deb Gordon's come to council chambers, and I had met with her beforehand because, as I said, our role is to do lobbying and advocating for what goes on in our hospital. And we were hearing some interesting information about our hospital. So what we did learn is that Fort Saskatchewan, along with Leduc and St. Albert, are all rolled into the Edmonton zone, which means we are part of a super board. So all decisions that are made are really being made based out of Edmonton. Now, we have a hospital just outside, about 30 minutes outside of Fort Saskatchewan, Lamont, and they're considered in the northern zone. So the decisions that they get to make and the surgeries that they get to do are different than what we can do in Fort Saskatchewan. So we really have been saying, we really don't want to be part of this super board, because what we're told, and this was part of a presentation that Ms. Gordon had done to City Council, was that there is an Alberta Health Services 2030 report. Okay. So it takes a lot to go in and Google and find and drill down to find this report. But what we found on it was that there are a lot of concerns that we would have as a community as to why we have been drawn into this super board. And it does have major impacts on us and changes that can happen in our community. I mean, for example, if you were in an accident by Walmart, you would anticipate you would get taken right to the hospital, which is less than 2 minutes away, correct?
I wouldn't think that there would be any other place they would take me.
Right. So what I did hear from one of our residents is he had an accident just outside Walmart, and he was taken all the way over to St. Albert for whatever reason, I don't know. So being part of the Super Board, they're making decisions about where our citizens are going to go. But a lot of this means they want to centralize. They want to centralize the services, which could force our citizens to have to go into Edmonton for inpatient care or for surgery.
Yet we have all this available to us here. Like our hospital is state of the art. It has surgery. It has all this.
Right. So when our hospital was built, it went from 44 beds to 48 beds. And I didn't think that was a very big increase. And I was like, wow, we're spending all this money on 4 additional beds. But, as council, we got to go take the tour, and we discovered there was more emergency room beds. So that was a bonus. We had a lot more emergency room beds that wouldn't take up inpatient care beds. But they also added significantly more inpatient day surgery beds. So after seeing that, I was so impressed. But at that time when we were talking about this, they said, we're also looking at having dialysis done in Fort Saskatchewan.
Wow, yeah.
So rather than having the outer perimeter have to go into Edmonton for dialysis, you would be able to come to Fort Saskatchewan. So the years have been ticking along, and what we're seeing is really, to me, a lot of unkept promises. What I have discovered as I've peeled the onion back is that there's a lot of complaints about the emergency services and the wait list. So when we talk about the emergency room, we commend the people that are working there. They are doing the best they can.
Absolutely.
But without having Alberta Health Services recognize, they gave us the additional beds, but they haven't actually filled them with beds and all the equipment. They can't be utilized.
So they're just empty rooms?
So basically we've got, there's only 6 emergency beds. So yes, when people ask, why do we have longer wait times in Fort Saskatchewan than anywhere else, that's why. And that's really sad because, they built the hospital to serve and to provide inpatient care.
Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of Exploring Fort Saskatchewan. I'm Curtis, Dominique. Here's the nice, beautiful little things here. We're stopping the podcast for a quick second. Yeah, as my wife's looking at me and all this kind of stuff and give me a weird thing. We're just stopping the podcast for 2 seconds to thank the sponsors who make this show possible. First off, where we are, Canadian Brew House, Joel, or should I say Archer. Thank you so much for letting us come down here. It's always a blast talking with him. Man, he's such a part of the community, like everything he does, the crib tournaments, bringing everybody to Edmonton for the Oilers game, watching them lose. It's incredible. Fort Gaming and Collectibles. Shane, this guy's the guy that he's like my best friend because every time there's new board games, my wife will not allow me to go to the store because she knows I'm going to come back with $100 worth of stuff. Right? Yeah, she's laughing. Okay, Frankie's Barbershop. They always make me look so good. Frankie, oh my God, I go in there. It's awesome. But it seems like when I go in there, I bring like 5 or 6 people with me, so you might want to hire me just as a guy to sit there, and I'll keep bringing in new people for you. I don't know, it's a weird thing. The newest sponsor to this is an extremely good friend of mine, Rob Cicchetto. Now, everybody in this area, you probably have no idea who he is. He's a world-renowned zombie artist. You can go check out his zombie portraits. I'm going to put the link right down here. Zombieportraits.com. This guy zombifies everything. Humans, cats, dogs, any animal you think. His art is incredible. Check him out. Okay, I've taken up enough time saying all the sponsors, doing all this stuff. My wife's giving me the wrap it up signal. Back to the podcast. Here we go.
So in the 2030 report, what we were also told, because they said they wanted everything more centralized because Fort Saskatchewan was part of the Super Board, is that they wanted all of our children to have to go into Edmonton. There's a lot of stress when your children are sick or, maybe they need something that they need to be in this hospital. Why wouldn't we want our children close by?
It's 40 minutes.
I know, and that's what's really sad. And we were also told that all trauma patients would go into the Royal Alexander or the U of A hospital. Now, my concerns with the 2030 report, and I expressed these to Ms. Gordon when they were at our council meeting, was that, you know what, Fort Saskatchewan, even though we're a mid-sized city, we're still considered a rural hospital, and we are unique because we serve Gibbons, we serve people, you know, from all around the region. Even people from North Edmonton come out to
See, that's it.
because they know that their wait times are significantly longer.
Less. Ours are less.
Their wait times?
Oh, theirs. Okay.
Edmonton's wait times are significantly longer. Yeah, if you go into Edmonton, you could sit there for 24 hours and maybe not get seen unless you're truly an emergency. But, you know, so these are just some of the concerns. And really what it is today we really want to raise awareness and say, you know what, we want our citizens to start speaking out to Alberta Health Services. I mean, we can do our complaints on Facebook, we can do them on social media, but we really need to start getting our complaints into Alberta Health Services, into the Super Board to say, our hospital, we want surgeries done here. If you actually take a look at the list of the surgeries that are canceled here, it's pretty amazing. And yet when a surgery is canceled, we're still paying the nurses and we're still paying the anesthesiologists. So we're not having cost savings. So really, what I really want to get out to everybody is, you know what, we need to start talking more to Alberta Health Services. You can do your complaints locally, but you know what, they may not reach Alberta Health Services. So we need to get to Deb Gordon's office, as she's VP and Chief Operating Officer, and let her know the concerns that we have, that, you know what, we could reduce wait lists from Edmonton. We have the capability to have more surgeries done in Fort Saskatchewan. You know, and for some reason, if we didn't have enough surgeons that were having surgery done out here, you know what? Why can't they invite their surgeons to do their surgeries out here? I mean, with
No, you can't do that. The doctor's not going to drive 40 minutes. Come on. Like, I know I'm being sarcastic right now and I'm injecting humor, but I agree with you completely. Why can't they come out here? They could line up 10 surgeries in one day. You come out here, boom, 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 boom. They get paid the same amount. I'm sure coming here is not going to drop their salary or anything differently. And then that's it. But instead, you got people taking a day off work, if not 2 or 3 days off work. When you brought this point to light, it kind of made a strong statement. We're 40 minutes away, yet we're still a part of Edmonton somehow. We're not. We're our own city.
And we really are. And I think that, you know, the reason that I really wanted to talk about this, and I know some people say, oh, it's election year, but this has nothing to do with election year. We have been working on this for several years now. And for me, it's really unkept promises from the head of Alberta Health Services. I mean, if our hospital is underutilized, let's get it utilized. Let's get it working to 100% capacity. I mean, before we think about building a new hospital anywhere else in the region, let's get our hospital, let's get the regional hospitals utilized. If we have the availability, let's get the surgeries done here. Let's talk to the doctors, let's talk to the nurses. Let's say, you know what, you guys are the specialists, you're the experts, you tell us what do you need and we will go out and lobby and advocate for you. But you know what, the Fort Saskatchewan Hospital is so important.
It is. It's incredible. I know, again, I've been there a couple times. I had to go have a surgery done, and they didn't give me the choice. They were kind of saying, well, you know what, we're just going to go to the fort. I didn't know that they would bring me to Edmonton. If they would do that, I would go, why? We have a perfectly good hospital right here. It's brand new. It's state-of-the-art. Why is it not being used? But now I'm understanding exactly what's going on, how it's being underutilized, and it has to change because, like you're saying, if we build another hospital, well, what is that? That's millions of dollars. We're our own. Again, I know I'm saying state-of-the-art a lot, but it's brand new. It's state-of-the-art. It's got all the equipment there. Use it, or eventually you're going to lose it, and then who's going to complain about what?
Exactly. So what I encourage people to do, and on my Facebook page, and I have put Miss Gordon's phone number, but
Do you want me to put it up right down
yeah,
there?
yeah. What we'll do is
Okay.
we'll put her number up there. If you have complaints, if you have concerns about the services that we are getting or not getting, we want you to reach out, not just to our MLA, because our MLA is also working and lobbying and advocating for us. But it takes the citizens to all come together. So you know what? I don't want to. I want to ensure that people know that our MLA is working alongside to ensure that we're discovering what's going on and what needs to change. But it needs people to contact Miss Gordon's office, because apparently the words that her assistant used was that, you know what, we're not getting any complaints in here, so everything must be working pretty good. Oh my gosh, you know, like that would be like...
I think that's it for everything. Well, we're not hearing negative, so that means it's good. No, you somehow you're just not getting the negative. And I'll kind of reiterate to what you're saying. This is not a soapbox thing. We're not trying to get up saying that. This is something for everybody living in Fort Saskatchewan and the surrounding area. If you've ever needed the hospital, look into this, because there are stories. There's. Do you want to be that person that you get into an accident at Walmart and then they drive you 30 minutes into town, and that could be a life or death situation? No, like these should be normal thoughts that. Oh, he got into an accident here. Is there a hospital within a 5? Oh my, it's right across the street. Well, let's take him to that hospital. No, what we have to do, I think there's one in Vancouver. Like, no, I'm sorry. I know I'm getting completely off the, but come on. I'm not as political, and I'm more of that, what are we thinking? But when these thoughts are brought up, like,
Yeah.
geez, the people that talk to her are the doctors. I'm sure that they're going to know. They work in the hospital. They know exactly.
Well, I would think it would be frustrating for them as well, because we have such an excellent staff of doctors and nurses out here. You know, we just really, you know, today it really isn't about ranting, and you're right, it's not about
No,
a
and I
soapbox.
apologize if I got on a rant.
It's just really about saying, you know what, the 2030 report was created without input from our local council, which was really distressing. But I understand when they came and spoke to council, they said, well, we're going to work on the next report. And I said to them, will you come out and engage with us, with our council? You know what? I know they're working on this report, and yet they're still not engaging with us. Yes, you know what? They've said, yeah, you're going to have more births being done in this hospital, and you're going to have gynecologists and obstetricians. So that's good news.
That's awesome.
So you can now have your babies here in Fort Saskatchewan. But we want to make sure that the gynecologists and obstetricians also have the ability to do any surgeries that they might need to do as
God,
well.
yeah. Absolutely.
You know? So, I mean, if you're
that's
a
a
woman...
horrible thought. Oh, yeah, your baby's just born. We have to take it to Edmonton.
Well,
What
not,
the hell?
not only that, I mean, as a woman, if you've got, you know, surgery that you want to have done, you know, chances are you may not be able to get it here. But you know what? That's what we're saying. We need to get this hospital, our surgery beds utilized. We need to get our emergency rooms, all of them opened. We need to get ourselves to 100% capacity. And it's only us as citizens, when we go out and say, oh my gosh, now I know what the story is. I need to get out there and I need to start writing letters and advocating to the province, because you know what? We just didn't know.
No, and this is your hospital. We're not talking about some other place. This is your hospital, our hospital, the Fort's hospital. This is what you're going to need when you get in trouble. God forbid that happens, but if that happens, it's right there, and I want the best for me.
Yeah, and as I'm talking about this, so you're saying, well, what am I lobbying and advocating for? Really, if it was me, I would be lobbying to say, we want out of the super board. We want out of the Edmonton zone. We want to be in the northern Alberta zone, because that means then we can do more surgeries. Can you imagine you could go to Lamont, but those doctors can't come here to do surgery because they're in the northern zone and we're in the Edmonton zone. We're 30 minutes apart, but those doctors can't do surgery here because they're in a different zone.
But a doctor who's 40 minutes away that way can come here.
Yes. Yes. So you know what? It's a complex conversation. I know have been doing a lot of research on this, and every time I think about it, it just gets my cockles up, and it's like, what can I do? And sometimes you feel, you know what, Curtis? Sometimes you feel helpless.
Yes.
Because it's not a city initiative, and it's like, what can I do? And you know what? I need to inform the public. That's it.
That's it.
You know what? Go out.
And this is what we're doing.
Be informed. Know we're part of a super board. Lobby and advocate. Say, get us into the northern zone. We will be more efficient. We will be more effective, and hopefully we can do more surgeries here. They'll open up our emergency room beds. We need to get this hospital up to 100% capacity.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I guess on that will be our final note. Do we want to remind everybody, because I'm going to try and get this out as quick as I can, pancake breakfast tonight.
Yes. If you get all the way to the end of this and you
What do you mean,
see
if? You're getting all the way to this. No, if. Just keep going.
Yeah, so make sure you get to the end of this. And there is a pancake breakfast at 5 o'clock at the Anglican Church.
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
I'm going to stop in at 4:30, but tonight is council night. So, yeah, but you can take food to go. So I will probably slip over there, grab a couple pancakes, a couple sausage,
Nice.
and head back to council.
All right. Well, I want to thank you again for joining us here on Exploring Fort Saskatchewan, bringing up a great topic. Hopefully everybody got a lot of information out of this and can make a decision on where they want to go. But this is our fort, the hashtag, our fort, our family. Our family, our fort. Sorry, I backed it up. But this is our hospital. If you have any kind of stories like that, anything, they should be notified to the right person. We'll put all the information down. Our Emily's behind us. Our mayor's behind us.
Yes, exactly. And let your doctors and nurses know we're behind them too.
Exactly.
Thank you.
We're ending with that now.
Exploring Fort Saskatchewan is a product of Dominique Digital.